My name is Pierre Coupey, and I'm delighted to have been invited to do a print for the Artist Editions program with the West Van Art Museum. It's wonderful to be in the company of so many stellar people like Gordon Smith, Wallach Tun, Eric Metcalf, Rini Van Helm. And this little print is a 5-color stone lithograph called Rainy River, and is based on a large ink drawing that's called On the Rainy River, and it was the 10th in a series of about 30. And when Hilary Letwin came over for a studio visit, she saw that piece and said, well, that might be a good basis for making this print. And I was delighted because I really like the series. It's never been exhibited. And this is a piece that I have in my home and I like looking at. And so this lithograph is based on that ink drawing. And that set of ink drawings actually has a history in West Vancouver because On the Rainy River, that series was the first series of works that I did when we moved into our new house in West Vancouver, which we built 15 years ago. We had been on the property for 15 years previously, but now I had a brand new studio. And I had no idea what I would start with when I was in the studio. And then moving all the materials around, I discovered that I had a pile of Stonehenge paper, I had a big box of inks, and so I got to work on that. So this print really does have has a history with my being in West Vancouver, although its reference is to a book by Tim O'Brien. Now, my work often has literary references, and my work very often conflates landscape, and there is a landscape sense to this piece, but there's also a language sense to the piece in terms of the calligraphy and how it's made. And so I'm very often conflating language with landscape. And this particular book by Tim O'Brien is called The Things They Carried, and it's a very important book about the war in Vietnam. And the decision point for Tim O'Brien in this collection of short stories, or it can also be read as a novel, was the decision he had to make on whether he was going to obey the call for his draft and go to war in Vietnam, or cross the Rainy River between the United States and Canada and become a deserter, become a draft dodger. All art is about critical decision making. And of course, we're not always faced with those kinds of life and death situations and critical decisions that we have to make in the studio, but there's a rhyme between them. Every move that you make in a drawing, in a print, in a painting is a choice, and you're deciding to do this and not that. And that has consequences, and then you have to play with those consequences, and you have to deal with those consequences, and you have to begin to learn how to move with those consequences. So fundamentally, the print, if it's going to have a kind of a conceptual content, rather than the pure aesthetic sense of it when you see it, is about those critical decision-making moments.